And we are back with another episode of the Hockey Princess podcast. Guys, we have more fresh faces, as I promised, because this is the dog days of the off season and we need more new exciting things to talk about and exciting people to talk about things with. We've got Bree. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here. Anytime I can talk about hockey is a good time for me, so I really appreciate it.
Exactly. Oh, we might get a cat
A
appearance.
guest. Oh, I love that.
Hi, buddy. All right. So starting off, Bree, do you kind of want to tell the story of kind of how you got into hockey and also the 500 hats that you wear when it comes to the sport of hockey? Guys, this girl is in everything, a part of everything. Wow, you really wanted to be
Yeah.
on the show today.
So long story short, I am a researcher at the NHL Network. That's my full-time job. The easiest way I can describe it is and you would absolutely get this, when you're watching a hockey game and the analyst on the show, or there's like a graphic that comes up about some crazy silly stat that somebody's like, how does anybody know where that is? I am the person finding all of those stats to go on TV for the NHL specific TV station.
So you are the brains behind TV.
Pretty much. Yeah. So sometimes, like, when you hear somebody, especially with our talent, like, they'll read something I give them word for word, and I'll be like, oh my God, like, nobody else knows I'm telling them that. But it's the information that I'm pulling to be like, here's what happened. Like, if a player scores a goal, or if he's the first to do whatever, I'm the one pulling all that information, building it as a graphic, and then that's what goes on TV. There's a lot of parts to it, I guess. It's all behind the scenes, but it is a very big. It's really cool to me as a hockey fan. I get to just geek out about hockey all the time, and it's all historical and a lot of fun things that go on. So that's my full-time job, which I do all the time, and we are currently in the middle of the summer, so it's not so interesting right now. We're doing like our top 20 player list currently. That's about all we've got going on in the summer. And then I also cover the PWHL, specifically the New York Sirens. They are the team based in the metropolitan area. They play in New Jersey. They're named after New York, of course. A lot of changes happen over the offseason, so I get to cover them, which is a lot of fun. And then I also have a podcast with my friend Mackenzie, we also talk about hockey and we talk about books over there. And I'm trying to, and I do a lot of hockey writing on the side, and I think that is it off the top of my head.
That's so much.
It's a lot. Yeah, but I love it. I love it so much, especially in the middle of the season when everything's happening. Like I'm at that point, and I'm sure you feel it too, where I'm just like, okay, when's hockey coming back? We're ready for it. We're ready for it. We're ready for it.
I'm getting twitchy. I'm getting very,
exactly.
very twitchy
But then,
about
like,
it.
in the middle, when it's like March, I'm like, okay, it's a little crazy. We're going in. It's fine. But this year I'm really excited. We have the Olympics this year, so that's something I haven't had a chance to do yet. So, yeah, I'm very excited, and I do a lot of it, but it's all hockey 24/7, which is pretty much what my brain looks like inside. So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, how do you balance like in out like January, February, everything is going on at the exact same time?
Yeah.
How do you balance all of those? Like, I imagine like the spinning plates on like the poles,
That's what
like
it feels
that's
like.
what you're doing. Like, how do you do it?
I wish I could tell you I have a formula for it. I really don't. The good thing about my job is that every day is different. So usually I'm working late, like 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Because I have the honor of living on the East Coast, and there's West Coast games that start at 10:30 p.m. if they start on time.
Right.
Which a lot of people are like, oh my God, you get like I will leave work sometimes at like 2:30 in the morning. But that having that like late kind of, I know I have to go in the office and be there. I kind of get everything else done earlier on in the day. And then I balance. I'm that person that will like take days off of work to go to games myself as a fan, and then also go to games to cover them for the Sirens, or I'll double up if the Sirens are playing earlier in the day. I'll do that and then go to work. So it's a lot, and I enjoy it because I think that it's never the same every day, and I think if it was, I think it would drive me a little insane.
Right.
Because it is a constant repetition of the same thing. But I enjoy how nothing is ever the same, and even when I'm at work, nothing I do in that day is gonna look the same tomorrow.
Right.
It does feel like I, like, am changing costumes, like, I'm like, "Okay, I covered the sirens, now I'm doing," and, like, I'm going to work and whatever, so it's a lot all at once, but I think that is what I enjoy about it so much.
Mhm.
'Cause I don't wanna say I get bored, but I like having more to do than less.
Right.
So, and especially in the middle of the season, I'm like, the more hockey, the better. I won't ever complain because again, we're sitting here in August and I'm like, I have nothing. There's no hockey. So the more in the season, I will take it. I won't complain. So it ends up
Like,
working
at
out
least in the
somehow.
end of June, there's, like, draft weekend, which as someone
Exactly.
who's a fan of a bottom of the barrel team, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Right, I can hyper fixate on
Yeah.
this for weeks."
The draft,
Now I'm
free
like,
agency, because and this year, like, free agency was over in like a minute. I feel like everything happened and it was kind of just done.
yeah, I feel
So
like it didn't even really start. Like,
yeah.
the amount of people that were just like, "Yeah, we're just gonna re-sign." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Right."
I know, or like we kind of all the big moves happened like beforehand, and I was like, wait, this is like supposed to last all summer. We can't do all of it in 2 days. But yeah, I think it's a lot of work and it's a lot of fun, but I have somehow figured out how to manage it. I don't really know if there's a way I could explain how it happens, but the way I think everything just lines up time wise ends up somehow working for me in some world.
Now, for the Sirens,
Yes.
did you start covering them kind of like at the beginning, like the inaugural of
Yeah.
PWHL,
Yeah.
or were you brought on later after?
No, I started so the P-Dubs only going into their 3rd season.
Yeah.
I started covering the Sirens in the P-Dubs inaugural season.
Okay.
So I was at their first home game. They were the year before they were playing at UBS Arena in Long Island. So I was taking like a 2.5 hour trip to go out there. So that's something I really love about it too, is it's so rewarding seeing it from the bottom up for such a new league where it's like this is where it started and seeing its growth and how the team has changed and the fans and we're now in a different building, a different area. So it's been a lot of fun. But I've been on since they started, which is
That's
crazy.
so exciting.
Yeah.
Obviously, being in Chicago, we don't have a PWHL team, which is probably one of the most depressing things
I
in
know.
my
I
opinion.
was so mad that I love that Vancouver and Seattle got a team, but I was like, they you had even I thought, I was like, between all of the games that you had in the Midwest, Detroit alone outsold everyone.
That surprised me
Yeah,
that they didn't go with Detroit, because I didn't think that they were gonna branch so far west
I
so
had the
quickly. I
same
thought they
thing.
were gonna, like, kinda, like, build it out,
That's
like,
what I thought.
maybe, like, Colorado, or, like, maybe even something far west that, like,
Yeah.
isn't completely on the other side. Because 'cause I'm like,
Mhm.
as exciting as those are gonna be, those flights have got to
The
be
travel.
absolutely obnoxious for
Yeah.
the Vancouver and Seattle team
Yep.
next season.
And that's not even that's why I thought too. I was like, every other team is on the East Coast, so you're gonna have the other 6 have to travel. And I imagine, like, the road trip will have to include both teams, but that the scheduling is gonna be very interesting for that reason. But
Wacky.
I know a lot of people, especially in Chicago, 'cause I remember how well it went in Detroit, and I was like, that would be the perfect you have a very big NHL fan base there already, and that the hockey part would just transfer over, which in my head made sense. But
It definitely does make sense, and I have definitely wanted it, but then after this past season, I was able to go to my first PWHL game. I went up
ah,
to the Minnesota Frost versus Toronto
oh, I
because I
love
was
it.
trying to see Sarah Nurse, but unfortunately, that's when she was out hurt.
Oh,
Um, and I was like, this is the funnest experience that
yep,
I've ever had at a game, minus like being a kid in the Blackhawk Dynasty era. Like,
yeah,
this is so much fun. And as much as I don't know how soon Chicago will get one, not because of like a fan base, because we definitely have the market
yeah,
for it. I think Chicago's ownership of the Blackhawks aren't necessarily
yep,
keen on like having another like professional hockey team in
yep,
the city.
mhm.
So I think they're being a little, no, everything is
Stingy
mine.
about it,
I'm like,
yeah.
but this is so much more fun.
I agree. I when everybody asks me about it, I'm like, I always say I love the NHL and I love going to games, of course, because I am that was the first hockey I started watching. It's
Yeah.
still the my predominantly the hockey that I kind of default to. But when I tell people about it, and I'm like, if you have not been to a game, it is the most welcoming, exciting, fun atmosphere ever. Like, and I was explaining it the other day. I was at an event, and I kind of positioned it as like, they don't really care why you're at that game. They're just happy that you're there to watch the PWHL. And it's just every time I go, it's so fun. It's like it's the most rewarding and fun experience. And I'm like, I want everybody else to know and experience that. It's so different, and I'm sure you could probably attest that too. It's so different from an NHL atmosphere that I'm like, if you aren't so keen on that one, the PW is where you'd love it because it's such a great. I don't even have words to. It's just a great atmosphere to be in.
I very much agree. I definitely teared up a little bit at the beginning just because the game we went to, it was like a Sunday afternoon and we
Oh,
were surrounded by like young girls that like their hockey team just like
yeah,
played a tournament in the morning and then they came to go watch Kendall Coyne and I'm like tearing
yeah,
up. I'm like, where was this when I was a kid? Um,
exactly.
Yes, and I definitely do think the PWHL is just more welcoming, also significantly more accessible to like
Yeah.
watch and get into compared to the
Mhm.
NHL. And I feel like there's pockets of the NHL that are more welcoming, but you definitely like have to search for
Yeah.
it. Where PWHL kind of like as a whole, it's like, no, everybody's welcome.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is makes it easier to kind of get fans on board when everybody's on the same page. You don't have to like filter through and most of it I think is just picking your favorite team. When you get into it, there's no like, oh my gosh, why shouldn't I like that team or anything about that, but it's a lot of fun and I every time I tell people I'm like if you have not gone, just try to get to one and you'll go to one and you'll want to go to every single game because it
Yes.
is just so amazing on so many levels.
No, it's definitely very, very fun. I wish it
Yeah.
was closer, but
And
also
that's why I say
going
I'm like really lucky that we have one here. Because if we didn't, I think I would have to be like I have to drive because I won't miss it. I don't want to miss it. So I'm just fortunate enough they decided to put one here. But yeah, I hope eventually when they expand more that or yeah, there's a lot more, and especially in the Midwest where again there's so much. The markets are there, and there's so many hockey fans that would love it. So
I
fingers
mean,
crossed.
if I gotta keep cheering for Minnesota for the
It's
time being, that's a-okay.
okay.
I think that
Yeah,
like logistically and also when Kendall Coyne decided to go there, I was like, all right, well,
easy. Yeah,
she's a Blackhawk employee, so essentially I'm just cheering for the Blackhawks 2.0
yeah,
by cheering for the Frost.
that makes a lot of
And then
sense.
it doesn't hurt that they just have been winning
Yeah.
as
They're the only ones that have won so
yeah.
far, so good for them, but yeah, it's awesome.
I feel like and maybe it's just like the with the expansion, but I feel like with the expansion to Vancouver and Seattle, and specifically like who went to those teams, I don't necessarily think it's a for sure lock of like Minnesota winning it again this year. I think this year it might be a more
Yeah.
exciting in terms of like the PWHL championship.
A lot of I remember when the expansion draft and the signings opened and everybody was leaving and they're like, they are just letting them, like,
Yeah,
stack. Like, they are stacking Vancouver and Seattle, and I was like, "Well, yeah, it's a little worrisome considering, like, the only team that's won so far has been like, we've only had 1 winner,
right.
and now out of the inaugural 6, like, all of those players that were, like, franchise pillars there have pretty much moved on." So, I do think it'll make the playoffs more interesting. We don't know how that, like, now 8 teams, we have not seen anything about how that affects the playoff format because only
Right.
4 teams have made it out of the 6. So I'm interested also how that works, but it was giving in the very beginning before they did the draft and everything, and I was like, it's giving Vegas Golden Knights, where they're kind of putting together a roster and everybody's like, oh my God, they're gonna come out. And if one of them wins it this year, it kind of has that same feel. But I don't know, I also said that for Vancouver and Seattle alone, though, it's really for them, it was really great to get such big names because although there are, of course, women hockey fans out there, it's also something that when you hear Sarah Nurse or when you hear Alex Carpenter, like those are the names that are going to put people in seats, even if you don't know anything about women's hockey. So for them, it's really good. For me, I'm like, I have to fear them now because I have no idea how it's going to go for everybody else. So
Yeah,
it'll be
that was
interesting.
fun. My heart goes out to Boston hockey fans
Yeah.
'cause this season you get Marchand taken away from you and Hillary Knight.
Yeah,
My sympathies to the
it's
city
real
of
rough.
Boston.
Yeah. Lost their both captains, both people that it's a rough time for them.
Yeah,
So
that hurts. That very much hurts. Um,
yeah.
Rewinding a little bit because
Mhm.
I know that NHL came first as it did with
Yeah.
me. What was the moment where you're like, this is amazing. This is fantastic. Like, did you get into it? Like, were you taken as a kid to a game?
Yeah.
Was it a book? Was it a TikTok edit?
Ooh, I like this question.
What was it where you're like, this is it. This is
Yeah.
what I'm gonna.
Follow. Yeah. It's kind of a funny story for me. So
Mhm.
my uncle was a very big Rangers fan. Again, I'm in New Jersey, but of course, as everybody, we have like 3 teams technically in a very small area. So I went to my first NHL game when I was 10. My family is when I was growing up, we were a big NFL fan, like a big NFL family. So I was more like tuned into football. I knew hockey existed, wasn't really into it. So we went to this game. All I remember from the game was they played the Edmonton Oilers, and it was like a 10-2 win or something. So it was like when we got to hear the goal horn go off all the time, and the only player I knew was Henrik Lundqvist because that was my uncle's favorite, and he was playing. So it was like this whole really awesome experience. I loved it. And then I didn't get into hockey after that, which is why I was kind of like, that's kind of weird because I had such a great time. I loved it. And then right around the time our NFL team was really bad, the Giants, they've been going downhill for a while, but I was like, I'm sick of watching football. I need another sport to watch. I just defaulted back to hockey because I was like, oh, it's on. My uncle is a Rangers fan, so I started watching them. Um, Ironically, too, it was the year I started watching them or following them the year after they lost the Stanley Cup final in 2014. Yeah, so I have not I was like, that was probably the closest I'm gonna get to like whatever, but and for some reason, I was like, this is so much fun. This is like my favorite thing ever. And I don't know if there was a defining moment where I kind of was like it clicked,
Mhm.
but I just remember picking it up and I was like, "Oh, I totally get it. Like I understand why people like it." And then it just became a very big it became a way bigger part of my life further down the road, but
Mhm.
that was I remember that game so well and it was so much fun and then like 5 years later I was like, "I'm just going to start watching hockey." And that was pretty much it. And now I am where I am. So it ended up coming full circle in a very odd way. But it worked out. So,
Love that. Love
yeah.
that. I'm assuming Rangers are still your number one affiliation.
Yes, they're the I when I explain to people, I say they're like my family team. Like they're the ones I started with. I do the Avalanche are my I also want to say number one, but they're like equal. They're the ones I just kind of ended up picking up. And then it's a lot of which sounds really bad, and this is one of those things that people always make fun of. It's a lot of players in certain areas, and then I just like kind of root for the team because of players on the team,
I
but they're
think
not
a
main.
lot of people do that. I mean, I
Yes.
do that.
No, it absolutely is a real thing, but it's one of those when you mention to people, they're like, "Well, that's like you can only like one team." And I'm like, "No, you can't.
No,
This is not a rule."
that's boring.
Exactly. So I go to a lot of Devils games because they're the closest to me. So I kind of see like the players that I want to see when the away teams come in. I just kind of go and see them there. So yeah, but those are my two like main affiliations from that.
How did the Avalanche?
I
How did that? Where was it? Like their cup run, or
No,
like a
it was before
particular
that.
player that like got you to
Yeah.
support the team?
So during the bubble year when they were in Toronto and Edmonton, I of course again there was nothing else on. I had just moved into college, my college dorm again, and I was like, oh my god, hockey's on! Like I'm gonna watch it, whatever. The Rangers didn't make it past like, the qualifying round, so I was like, who the heck am I gonna root for? And somehow one of my friends was she lives in Vegas, but she was like she keeps eyes on the Avs, like she's an Avs fan. And I guess what convinced me at the time was both Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar. It was Cale Makar's rookie year, which when I look back was crazy.
It
But
feels like he's been
really,
here for so long.
I know it feels so much longer than that. But really what it was just I was like, I have no other team was in the playoffs that year that I was like emotionally connected to. And I was like, it'd just be fun to root for the Avs in the bubble. And that's exactly what I did. And then I became endeared and I just stuck around. And every time I mentioned, they're like, "You're from New Jersey," and I'm like, "Yes, I know, but they're fine." So I actually, because I started following them in the bubble year. I actually got to see them win. I wasn't physically there, but saw them win the cup in 22. So every time someone brings up like they're like, "You're never gonna see the Rangers win a cup," I was like, "That's okay. I got the Avs. I saw them win one. That's enough." I was like, "If that's all I get, it's okay." But yeah, it was literally just a boredom. I didn't know what team to pick, and I was watching the playoffs, and I was like, we'll just go with Colorado. I know two of them there, and that was pretty much it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also very much agree with you that there's no, like, to me, I of course, being in Chicago is my number one affiliation.
Yep.
However, I definitely have players that like when they leave Chicago, like
Yes.
I don't need to cheer for the Detroit Red Wings. However, Patrick Kane, like I will always
Mhm.
support Patrick Kane no matter what team he goes to, as long as
Yeah.
it's not the Nashville Predators. But there's also players like, I'm sorry, how are you not going to like cheer for the wonder that is Alexander Barkov? Like some of
Mhm.
these guys are just like so good where you're like,
Yep.
yes, I can't hate them. Doesn't mean that I need to like cheer for the whole
Yep.
team. Although that's a bad example because the Florida Panthers are I call it my April team because when we got knocked out,
There's one to go to. That
I
makes sense.
hop over there,
Yeah.
especially with I'm one of the few Seth Jones supporters of the city of Chicago.
Oh yeah. I
And
kind of
so
always forget that. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a
so
lot of
I was
sense.
very happy to see him win it. But there's definitely guys where it's like, no, I just like the player. I don't need to
Yep.
support the whole team.
Yep.
And also I feel like the one team rule thing
It's
is
so
kind of
silly.
it's weird because it's like there's other leagues. Like
Yep.
you're just pigeonholing yourself like just to the NHL.
Yeah. I
Like that's
also,
stupid.
when I say it to people, I'm like, because people are always like, "Oh my god, how can you root for like two or three teams?" I'm like, you know what? I'm having more fun because like if one of my teams does bad and the other team is doing well, I'm still winning. So
Yeah.
like I like it. It ends up becoming one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I get it, but also I have. Why am I not? Why am I going to hold myself back from not following or supporting more than one team? So I also am the person that it happened very strongly with the Avs after they won the cup. A lot of players left. And of course, I was attached. I was like, "Oh my god, you just won the cup. Like it was such a fun team." And I ended up following them to their new team or new teams, whatever they're on. And I met a girl once. I was at a Islanders Canucks game on Long Island, and I had a warm up sign for Brock Besser because he's one of my favorite players. And the girl and I had my Islanders jersey like sitting on the bottom because of a player on the Islanders I like. And the girl was like, I mentioned Bo Horvat, who just like months before this had been traded to the Islanders. And the girl was like, "Yeah, once they're traded off my team, I can't, like, I don't like them anymore." And I was like, I wish that could be me. Like, I'm so attached, I have to follow them to where they go. I was like, so I'm not that kind of person. I will follow everybody until they go wherever, which is exhausting, but like well worth it.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely well worth it.
yeah.
Um Out of, we've got many exciting parts of the NHL season, but out of like the year as a whole,
Mhm.
off-season activities and regular season, playoffs, everything, what is your favorite time of year? Like, do you
Ooh.
like the warm up to the regular season? Is it draft
Yeah.
weekend? Is it, like February and March when we have like 4 games in a week
Yeah.
and it's just hockey, hockey, hockey? What is your favorite like time of year? Or like the
I
beginning of the playoffs when we have like an obscene amount of
yeah.
games throughout the night?
I think I have 2. I think the excitement of the beginning of the season in itself is it never gets old to me. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, hockey's back," and it's a lot of fun when everything feels really new and the possibility is just like anything can happen.
It
So
feels like
that
first day of school.
yeah, and it never feels the same. Like every year it's just like, oh my gosh, it's exciting and it's happening again. So that would be my first one. And then I love, especially as somebody who works in hockey, the push for the playoffs in like early mid-March. Like that part is so much fun because anything, like every game somehow means something now. And it's a little crazy because there's a lot of hockey happening, especially this year will be even more insane with the Olympics, but like after All-Star and everything's kind of squished in there. But I love that part where we're like literally figuring out what each team has to do to make it and who's doing well, who's not doing so well, and all that stuff. The push to the playoffs is my favorite in season moment, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two that I look forward to and are the most fun for me, I think.
Speaking of Olympics, because I know you said
Yes.
this was kind of your first time like going through with being a part of NHL Network going into the Olympics, and maybe you guys don't know this yet, but what does that look like for you
So
while they're in the Olympics?
yeah, I actually have no clue. Because like it's the political side of TV. Like NBC owns the rights for the Olympics, so of course they get to broadcast everything.
Right.
But I have no idea if we get to. I would assume we're talking about it because those 95% of the teams are made up of NHL players this year, which is the first in a very long time. So I hope we get to like sit there and analyze stuff. Otherwise, if we don't work wise, I will be sitting at home watching every single game, no matter what. But I have no idea I don't know what it looks like yet. I would assume somebody will tell me eventually when we're getting to like January and we're like a month out. But right now I have no idea. I'm just excited for the Olympics and to see NHL players in the Olympics. It's been like I remember the last time, but
It's been a minute.
yeah. So I'm just more excited that it's happening. And if I get to talk about it in like a professional way at work, I'll be happy. If not, I will be sitting here watching it anyway. So it doesn't matter.
We're going to watch it regardless.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, because I would imagine it's certainly not the like, oh, Bree, just take like 2 weeks off. You have nothing to do.
Yeah,
Like,
I have no idea. I will eventually know. But I don't know if I have no idea if the NHL has figured out. Like we know there's a gap in the schedule, but I have no idea if they've
what that
said
means.
anything to us to be like this is the specifics. So the closer it gets, I would imagine I know, but as of right now, I don't. Unfortunately.
Is there for the Olympics? Is there like a particular matchup that you're excited for? This can be men and women's for hockey. Well, big picture of just hockey in the Olympics in general. Is there like a matchup that you're excited for? A person that you're excited to see? Anything that you're looking forward to in particular?
Yeah, I think the basic answer for both men's and women are the eventual US Canada matchups. They never get old. And especially we've seen it of course with the women every year. But after the taste of Four Nations, I am so excited to see how that plays out in the Olympics. I know it's a basic answer, but I'm just
But it's
yeah, and I think
everybody's gonna watch it.
the idea that Canada has McDavid, McKinnon, and Crosby, and just alone the three of them on the same team is mind-boggling. So I am so excited for that. And then I have a kind of an odd soft spot for the men's Swiss team. Again, the Devils are again down the street for me. But we watch Worlds every year at work and like we cover them.
Yeah.
And they've come so close to winning a gold medal like 2 years in a row now, and they've never won a gold at Worlds. And Nico Hischier is a player that I really love watching. He's one of my favorites.
How can you not love Nico Hischier? Like
Exactly. Thank you so much. So I like kind of just default root for Switzerland just so I can see them be happy. Like I want you all to win. I don't know how that will play out with the Olympics because it'll be insane. But I'm just excited to see them play at the Olympics like everybody else. So
I'm also very excited. And as well with the USA Canada, I'm intrigued to see if like the postseason for in the NHL makes a difference in terms of who Team USA chooses as their number one starter.
Ooh, yeah.
Because like you had Hellebuck, for lack of a better term, kind of wet the bed a little bit with some games, as much as I love Connor Hellebuck. And like Ottinger did very well. So I'm curious to see if they run with the same number one or if they switch it up. My soft spot allegiance and kind of like how I got into hockey, my favorite Blackhawk of all time is Tomo Ritu. He's one of the assistant coaches down in Florida, but I imagine he'll be one of the assistant coaches for Team Finland. And so I've always cheered for Team Finland for like any international competition. I'm like, screw my country. I'm cheering for my favorite player's country. So I'm excited. And I have a soft spot for Kevin Lankinen because he wasn't treated the best in Chicago, in my opinion. And I'm excited for him to like do well in Vancouver. And also Canucks fans just seem to be generally kinder to him than the Hawks fans were. But I'm excited to see how the the smaller kind of market team, not your like Four Nations tier, but teams underneath like Switzerland, like Germany. I think Leon Draisaitl is just going to like bring his entire team to the medal round by himself. But I think these smaller countries, I don't necessarily expect them to be like in the medal round, but I think
they'll
you shouldn't count them out.
Yeah, and I think that's why I think Four Nations was kind of misleading because there was only 4. And I remember David Pastrnak was like, Czechia had just won a gold at Worlds, and he was like, and we're not even in a Four Nations spot because again, the NHL ran it, so it's the players that are predominantly NHL players who have the most. That's how they kind of figured it out. Right. But when I sit there and watch Worlds every year, I'm like, some of these teams are, I think we kind of write them off because we're like, oh, it's a small country. They're not like, the hockey might not be as well known or as big. And I'm like, but they can show up, and you should be a little scared of them. So I think that will make it really interesting, especially again to see, like, for a while, Draisaitl is the only German player, and now there's so many of them that are on that roster from the NHL that will be so exciting to see them all play together. So I'm just excited all around, and I would like to think it's open. I have the feeling that Canada will probably win. And again, me being, if this is Sid's last Olympics, I'd want Sid to win another gold medal if that's how it goes. But I want to say you never know, because I don't think you can predict it based on everybody coming into this tournament. So it'll be very exciting.
Yeah, part of me doesn't like. I agree. I think there's definitely a large percentage that Canada will win. Yeah. Doesn't mean I necessarily want it, but if I get to watch Connor Bedard skate around with a gold medal as a Blackhawk fan, that wouldn't be bad either.
Exactly.
That could like balance out an entire month of losses.
There you go. It'll make up everything for that. Yeah.
All right. Steering to kind of another direction out of hockey, because I know you are an F1 fan.
I am, yeah.
I am an F1 fan.
I love it.
And we're on summer break right now, which is that's just sad.
It's already felt like forever. It's only been like 4 days.
Yeah, my friends were like, how long is break? I'm like, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, oh, so you really have nothing to do.
Yep.
Yes.
Quite literally.
Especially because my baseball team is also like just down the tank right now. I'm a sad Yankee fan. So it's like Blackhawks, Yankees, and whatever is going on in Ferrari. I'm like, everything's in a rebuild.
It's not great. Yeah.
Everything's fine. Do you kind of want to show this, like, how did you get into Formula One?
Yeah.
And kind of like the pathway for you.
So I have kind of always been aware of it. I actually, ironically, when I was younger, I used to watch NASCAR with my grandpa, and the motorsports part never stuck with me for some odd reason. Again, we're coming back to the full circle moment because it's exactly the same thing that happened with hockey. But I have a best friend who lives in Australia, and I got her into hockey, and kind of in a bad way because NHL games for her on in like the morning, and there's like hockey there is it's a sport, but it's not as predominantly played as it is here. So through our friendship, I got her into hockey, and she was like, I think I have to get you into a sport. And I was like, okay, pitch whatever you have. I'll try it. And she was an F1 fan, so she's like, I think you'd really like F1. And at this was March of last year. And at the time I was like, I remember I tried to watch the Vegas Grand Prix the year before and I fell asleep because it was late. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. I have nothing. I have no idea what's happening. And so she was like, the race is on this weekend. Just watch it, see what you like. And I was like, okay. It was the Australian Grand Prix of 2024. And all I knew going in was that Max Verstappen won everything. And in the first 2 laps of that race, Max DNF, like his car, something happened with the car. So I was like, oh wait, this is already interesting. Like all I knew was that. So I watched the race. Carlos Sainz won, and I was not aware that he had just missed the race before for a surgery. It was just like this wild thing. So I watched it, and I was like, I kind of understand why this is fun. I get it. And like everything else with me, it was a very fast and slippery slope of becoming fully immersed in the said sport. So I watched that race and then I kind of was talking to my friend. I was like, who's your favorite? Who is the team I should like? Whatever. And I ended up kind of gravitating. My favorite driver is Lando Norris. Carlos and Charles are actually like my if I have a big three, those are my big 3. But that was literally it. I watched one single race and I was like, wow, I've been missing out. I don't know why anybody. And my one friend, she was like, well, ironically, it wasn't like this. Like Max won almost every race the year before.
Yeah,
And
you
then
got
last
into
season,
a really exciting race.
So I took it. I literally took it. The way last season went, I was like, I think this is because I started watching. Like I just turned it around. So I went to my first race in March. I actually went to Australia for this year's Australian Grand Prix, which is absolutely amazing. And that was it. It's literally that I watched one and I kind of just full on right in, and I don't regret it. So
Love that.
yeah,
What are your thoughts since Lando is your guy? What are your thoughts on the drivers' championship?
I don't want to say I hate it, but it is stressing me out to the point where like last year I knew it was kind of out of reach because Max is still leading. So like it was a championship race, but I never felt like okay, this is gonna happen. You know what I mean? Um, this year the fact that either Oscar or Orlando will win it and one of them won't, is enough to like set me to be like I don't want to watch the last. I don't want to. I don't want it. It's just in my I'm okay with either of them again because I think by picking up Lando I just automatically became a McLaren fan. I don't really know if that's where my alliance usually lies. Um, but in my heart, I'd like Lando to win it first. Again, because he's been there forever and he kind of stuck it out, and it was really bad. And not that that's a fault on Oscar for coming in when they kind of just figured things out. But I just want everyone to win. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do when we get to the end of the season, and now it's like one of them can only win that. So we'll see. It's caused me a lot of stress just thinking about it. I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to have to deal with it. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I can't imagine the stress as a Ferrari first, unfortunately, girly. Leclerc's my number one. At least like I'm just watching that, like watching them being bad is an entirely different thing.
Yeah.
If I actually like had to stress out every rate, I don't.
Yeah, it's a time. And I like last year it wasn't so bad because it was more again, it was kind of evenly balanced where I was like, okay, it could happen, it could not. And
Right.
there were so many race winners last year where I was like,
That's what
it's a wide open.
I loved that about last year, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the person like one of the people that's like this year is boring because it's always McLaren. But
Yeah.
that was probably one of my favorite things about last year is that you just had so many different like
And multiple
from all
times.
sorts of different teams. Like not
Yeah.
only was the drivers championship in play, but the constructors too, like to a point. Then it was
Yeah.
like, okay, McLaren's killing it.
It was crazy.
But yeah, I'm kind of, and be my just sad Ferrari brain where I'm like, I'm just ready for this year to be done.
I know, I
After
feel
my
so
poor
bad.
Hungarian weekend, Lewis is calling himself useless, and I'm like, what is happening?
Coming in, I was like, I was a little fearful because I was like, oh my God. First off, I was really upset Carlos left Ferrari. Although I know it was going to happen, but I was like, I am so sad that they took that duo apart. Um, but I initially thought Ferrari was going to be the one to beat because I was like, you put Lewis in there. Charles is amazing. Like, you know what I mean? As long as they have a good car, they're fine. And then
And I think the
it
car
just
is
hasn't.
okay. It's just their strategy is
Yeah, and
garbage.
they just don't listen to the drivers, which to me is crazy when they're the ones literally driving the car. So I initially thought it'd be the opposite way around. I was like, it might be Ferrari's time. And then after 3 races, I was like, maybe not. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the process is here. So
I don't think
everyone I
they know what
know,
they're doing. I
I
think
don't
they're
think,
just
yeah,
like, we're gonna wait for new
yeah,
regulations
we'll
and
figure
then
it out next
see.
year. Yeah.
Yeah, I that was sad when they announced that Carlos was leaving. I feel
Mm,
like if in similar to like what he said and what other people have said, like if it was anybody else coming in to replace him, I think I would be more bummed. But
yeah.
it's like, okay, it's not like
It's Lewis
Ferrari decided to like
Hamilton.
replace him with a rookie or
Yeah.
something. It's like, okay, this even though he's not doing the best this year, he's still Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Um it is a little sad watching him Carlos in blue and in the back of the track. Even though I love Carlos, I love Alex Albon,
Hmm.
but I was a Logan Sargent
Me
girly,
too. I,
and so I have the irrational beef with James
yeah.
Vowles that I love the drivers. I cannot cheer for Williams.
Yeah, so again, I only got into it last year,
Yeah.
and like it was like I think Australia last year was the third race, fourth
Mhm.
race. And I had asked my friend, I was like clearly aware that there were like no Americans in the sport, and then she was like, she'd also like Logan. So she's like, Logan's the only American. I was like, immediately I'm gonna root for him. I don't care. He's the American. I have to root for him. Um, and then it slowly became we were like I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." I was aware of the situation. And then like halfway through when they dropped him, I was like, "This is unreal. I hate this." I was so mad. So I didn't even get a full like
Season with
season
him.
with him. Yeah, so
We didn't
I'm
even get a full season with Danny. Oh
no.
my god.
So it was very like I was trying to like catch up on everything while also experiencing what was happening, and I was like, "Oh my god, what is
What
happening?"
is happening?
So yeah, I was very upset about Logan. I still kind of am. I was like, oh, the one I had like, it's okay, not
It
really,
still
but
hurts a little bit. We didn't go to the race last year, but we went for like qualifying in free practice in Monza last year. And
ooh,
it was like,
awesome,
and I was all excited. We had the friendship bracelets ready to go.
yeah,
And then it's like, and I had my like Leclerc shirt and I have my Logan Sargent Williams shirt. And I was like, this is gonna be great. Like he'll have one person supporting him. And then they drop him like 2 days before we fly out. And I'm like,
of course, yeah,
no,
mm-hmm.
this is so sad. Um, still, I think then I just like swapped my support for Colapinto
Yeah,
in that moment because I'm like, we're not. I'm not one of those people where it's like, oh, you replaced my favorite
yeah,
driver.
it's
Like
your
I
fault.
can't
It's not
cheer
his
for you.
fault.
I'm like, it's not your
Yeah,
fault. And it was just really cool to see how many people showed up for him.
yeah,
For in Monza, I was like, all right, this is really cool.
that is really cool. That is awesome. Yeah, it's so sick.
Um, yeah, oh, you didn't have a full
Yeah,
race season of Danny. That really still hurts.
I now like looking back on it, I'm like, oh, I really like I was aware, but I wasn't fully like aware of the whole like Red Bull story behind because I'm like while I'm watching last season, I still am watching Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like piecing together who's been where, what the story is with everybody. And then I remember what race was that? Because it was towards the end of the season. But I remember
Singapore.
Yeah.
It's
And
the
everybody was
audio.
like,
It's like the at 1:45 this
yeah.
morning, Danny Ricardo left the
Yep.
F1. I'm
But
like,
I just was
no,
like,
I'm
I
cool.
remember seeing his like post-race interview and I was like, "Oh, this is messed up." That they're just like let it I was like, "Wait a second." And now looking back, I'm like, he didn't even get like a proper goodbye. He just left. So, yeah, I got the rookies coming in and then like maybe rookies staying. Rookies are now here for the next season and
Yeah,
everybody moving and I was like, "Oh my god, this is crazy." Um so I miss like the max dominance era, but now I'm like there's a new team coming in next year. I'm getting whatever this is this year. Last year was everybody winning. It was so I'm like, it's
you're
okay. I
getting
love
all of
it.
it.
It's exciting. I'll take any of that. So I loved it. It was kind of out of left field how I never thought I'd be an F1 fan, but now I'm like I get up at 3 in the morning to watch whatever wherever they are, figure out time zones. I'm up at who knows all hours of the day. So it's worth it in
It's
my
definitely
head.
worth it. Speaking of the rookies,
hmm
do you have? I know you have your McLaren loyalty, but do you have a favorite rookie this year? Because we have so many.
Yes, I love Isaac Hajar. He is I don't really know why. I remember being at so when I was in Australia, everybody kind of crashed because it was raining.
Yeah.
But that moment between him and Lewis's dad, first off made me like cry. So I was like, "Oh my god." But I love V-Carb's social media presence.
Yes.
And between how well Isaac drives and like him being himself on all their TikToks, I'm like, "Oh, I like him. Like he's fun." And so I also love Ollie Behrman. I don't really know why. He seems like he's fun and he's just hanging out and somehow drives a Haas to like Q3s and P10s all the time and it's crazy, which I don't know how he does it. But Isaac is if I had to like pick rookie of the year in my mind it's Isaac. So,
I also love eyes. I think my number one right now, and maybe just more of like the team performance, has got to be Bortoletto with
yeah.
how well he's doing, like driving the Sauber. But with Isaac, and I know we talked about this a little before we started recording, of Lewis Hamilton's announcement today, where
Mhm.
kind of everybody thought it was retiring. I
Which
think
is
my
crazy.
favorite was like the comments underneath of like, guys, if this is his retirement, has anybody checked in on Isaac?
No,
Because
literally.
like him being such a huge Lewis Hamilton fan, I'm like,
Someone check. Someone get the wellness check. It's okay. There's no
like
need for one
somebody
yet.
check on the kid.
Yeah, like somebody reach out. But yeah, it's exciting. I still can't believe there's 6 rookies, which is crazy, and they're somehow all doing well in their own respective way. Um, but yeah, I just V-Carb and their TikToks immediately won me over.
They're on a
They're so
whole
fun.
different level in
They
terms
really
of
are.
social media. Like they're finding audios in like the depths of reels and
Yes.
TikToks where I'm like, what even is
Or
this?
I don't even know what it is, and I'm like,
But I'm
"Where?"
laughing, but I'm
Yeah, I'm
loving
like,
it.
"Where did we find that?" But I do love it. It's a lot of fun. So,
For we talked about there's a new team coming in next year.
mhm.
We got Cadillac. Is there anybody that you would like to see in the Cadillac seat, be it present driver, former
Mhm.
driver, maybe grabbing somebody from IndyCar?
Yeah.
Is there somebody that you would like to see next year in Cadillac?
I think it's kind of circling with the rumors, to see Botas back in there would be a lot of fun.
Get this man a
Um,
car,
yeah,
please.
like, just put him back on the grid. I feel so bad for him. Um, I know I also do watch IndyCar, and my favorite in Indy is Pato Award. Um, so I this is my love-hate relationship with this, is I would love for him to be in F1, but at the same time, I'm like, "No, I want him to stay in Indy." Like, he is amazing, and he's, killing it. Um, so I don't know if I want him to be in that seat. I think it'd be very exciting because whenever like, when he does, like I think he has FP1 again this year for the, Grand Prix in Mexico, which I love that they do that. So in my head, I'm like, I really want that, but at the same time, I'm like, no, actually, I don't want you to be in F1 yet. Just stay in Indy. You're doing amazing. So, although that'd be a very fun driver pair, like a
That would
duo,
be
that'd
chaos.
be iconic. That would actually,
That would
I would,
be the personality of F1.
yeah, I would actually just want them to drive the same team just for that, because that would be a time. Um, but yeah, those are, I'm like, okay, I don't really know. I'm kind of just more interested to see who they pick, especially if they do take someone from Indy, because there's a lot of options. Um, but I don't really know if I have a preference besides Bose. I feel like Bose just needs to get back on the grid, and if
He
that's the
needs to get back.
way, I'll support it. I'll give it to him.
Well, and I feel bad for like how good Sauber is doing this year because it was just so bad last
Yeah,
year.
the
And I'm
turnaround's
like,
crazy.
this man deserves the upgrade. Just get him back on the grid. I feel with Pato, because funny enough, I talked about this with Tani in my last episode, and she also said Pato Award. I don't know if McLaren, if he gets out of McLaren though.
Yeah, that's my thing.
Because he's their bread and butter in
Hmm.
the world of IndyCar.
Yeah, so that's why, and I hate when people like look at IndyCar as like the downgrade, kind of what people in hockey do when it's like if you're not in the NHL, the AHL is like not cool. And I think people do that with Indy where it's like if you can't make it in F1, especially because there are former F1 drivers in Indy, they're like, "Oh, if you can't make it in F1, you're just going to go to Indy." But
They're so
which is not
different.
true. That's not true. But in Pato's sake where he just is doing so well and he's a face of IndyCar now, I'm kind of like, you don't, and not that I say he doesn't want it or he just doesn't need it, but I'm like, you, IndyCar can be like the legacy and that's it. Like that's in my mind, I'd be like, that's okay. You know what I mean? And yeah, for McLaren to be like, he is literally their best driver and he has been for a while, to just kind of let him move or go somewhere else would be crazy. But as an interesting point, because McLaren would be taking a loss by having him
Huge,
leave. Yeah.
huge loss. And I definitely do agree. That I don't like the viewpoint of if you can't make it in F1, you just go to
Go to
IndyCar.
Indy.
And I feel like people who say that really don't watch either.
Yeah.
Because
Two
the
different
cars
racing series.
itself are so different. Like an IndyCar
Mhm.
and an F1 car are so completely different. I think it takes an entirely different skill set, and not one is better than
Yeah.
the other. They're just so different. I mean, it's like how you see former F1 drivers like do well in WEC or do
Mhm.
well in Le Mans. Like it's just so different. And I think you see that with like F1 drivers like Marcus Ericsson and Grosjean doing well in IndyCar. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
they just have different skills than the
Yeah.
F1 drivers.
I also think too, like, especially in Pato's sake where he is a reserve driver, so he has to know how to drive an F1 car and then still race in Indy, it makes it even more impressive to me because you're able to drive in two different really high-paced series and do it well, which to me sets you apart from just being like, one, not to say that the F1 drivers can't go somewhere else, but yeah, that's my biggest argument. I'm like, they're two different. If you watch an IndyCar race and you watch an F1 race, they are absolutely not the same in no way.
No, they're very, very different. IndyCar, I'm the newest too. It
Yeah,
was F1 first, and then kind of like got in to
that's what
IndyCar
happened with
just like
me.
straight out of proximity because I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, this is in the States a lot more than
Mhm.
F1. And even with the F1 races in the States, I'm not the biggest street race fan.
Yeah.
And so to see ones, I'm like, okay, yes, you're in the States, but Vegas race in itself is kind of boring.
Yeah.
Um, but and I'm going to my first Indy car in a couple of weeks, and I'm
Ah!
excited to see like just the differences
Yeah.
between the two.
Yeah. I That's on my list for next year to go because they don't have any of them. The closest to me would be Toronto,
Hmm.
which might be the one I go to, but I'm like, I want to go to now it's like I was like, all right, I've done an F1 race, which is awesome, and I'll go to more, but now I want to go Indy, and I think it's just a very, again, different atmosphere, but I just was like, I have to be there now. I need to know what it's like. So that's very exciting that you're going. It's exciting.
I'm very, very excited for it.
Yeah,
And
of course.
I don't. I don't know if you experienced this as well, going from like a race to tying back to hockey.
Yeah.
But just the experience of being a fan in either sport are so different, because I
Oh,
think
yeah.
there's so many fans in F1 where it's like, yes, you have your team and yes, you have your favorite driver, but you kind of, everyone seems to generally support everyone.
Yep.
Where in hockey, it maybe just because there's more team and it's just bigger, but it's, no, this is my team and I hate everybody else.
Yeah. I think that was my biggest like worry coming in, because I was like, oh my God, if I like associate myself with like one driver, does that mean other people are going to be like, no, I can't talk to you? Because that's kind of what happens in hockey, where it's like, especially if there's a rivalry between teams, where it's like, we can't be friends because our teams aren't friends. And like, that's also not how that works. But it might be, I think, in F1 because there's only 10 teams, there's only 20 drivers. So there's a lot less different, like, you can only pick so many routes.
Mm-hmm.
But I have not come across somebody where they always ask like your favorite team or your favorite driver. Everybody's like, cool, here's mine. And now we're just watching the sport.
Yes.
In hockey, it's not like, even though it is the same sport, it's very much like you said, it's like, this is my team, this is my player, that's it. I don't care who you like, I'm not going to hear it. I would like it to not be that way in hockey, and I think most people I know are the opposite of that, where it's like, okay, even if we're fans of rivalry teams, we're still friends and we do stuff together. But the F1 side is way more, I guess, open in terms of like, even if you support a different team or a different driver, it doesn't matter. We're still love the sport, and that's why we're here.
Definitely. I remember taking the train out to the track in Monza, and I, of course, like it was like the Leclerc like Eras Tour.
Oh, I love those
shirt.
shirts. Yes.
And it was around like Red Bull fans, McLaren fans, and I'm like, I was so used to, from being in like the hockey world, I was expected to like get chirped at.
Yeah, that's what
Even
I thought too. Yeah.
even though we were in Italy, I was still expecting like somebody's gonna make a comment somewhere, or even because I did, and I still wore my Logan Sargent shirt
Yeah.
to the second day, and I'm like, somebody's gonna make a comment.
Mm-hmm.
And the only comment I got was, we were doing a friendship bracelet exchange with somebody else that was in Monza, and she's like, no, I just figured you spoke English because you're wearing a Logan Sargent shirt.
That's a good assumption. That's a nice one though.
Yeah,
That's
I'm like, that's fair. I feel
yeah.
like that's very fair.
That's valid. Of course it's valid. Yeah, I think hockey would be like that, but I think it's because it's so big and there's so much more involved. I don't know if it'll ever be like that, but I try and cultivate my little side of the internet with my friends like that, because I'm like, I don't care who you're a fan of. You like hockey. I like hockey.
Right.
We're friends. That's it. I don't care. Like, I might not like you when my team plays your team, but I'm not gonna like not associate myself with you.
Right.
I'm fine.
It's like I forget what the audio is. It's on TikTok where it's like, I like my team, you like
I know what
your
you're talking
team.
about.
We don't like each other. We're gonna
Yep.
be friends in like 2 hours or whatever that is. Like, I
The
feel
little
like
pact. Yeah.
that's the way to go about it, at least in my opinion.
I
And
agree.
you can be heated during the game, and then you got to go back to
All good. Exactly. It's also, again, so much more fun to enjoy sports that way, because you get like it's like a more full experience of just being like, you're not in your little bubble of your team. You get all of it, which in my mind is way more fun.
Oh,
So,
it's definitely way more fun.
exactly.
All right. So it looks like that is all the time that we have for this afternoon. Bree, thank you so much for coming on. This was an absolute blast to talk about all of our favorite sports.
Yeah, thank you again for having me on. I will yap about my favorite sports forever. So, I'm happy we got to do this because I had a very great time.
Perfect. All right, look, guys, that is all, and we will talk at you guys next week.